Guys, in today's video, I'm going to break down exactly how I managed to purchase a $700,000 house and how I'm making anywhere from $9,000 to $12,000 a month in revenue from it. Now, if you're watching this video and you're like, dude, this is not relatable. I cannot buy a house for $700,000 and put it on Airbnb. And don't worry, okay? Because I once started off in 2020 doing property management, managing other people's houses. I didn't have any money either. My parents come from an immigrant family. They immigrated to this country 35 years ago. My father was a taxi driver. My mother was a school teacher. I started there too, okay? Now, obviously throughout the years, I managed to get into real estate. I managed to invest into a couple of great mentors who taught me how to manage houses, then got myself into Airbnb arbitrage, then got myself into actually purchasing houses like this one that I did last year. And now in 2025, we are developing and building our first house, a custom home in Rockville, Texas, that we're doing right now. So long story short, there's levels to this game. I'm going to teach you how to get into it. And I'm just going to pretty much break down the house that I recently acquired and I purchased. And I hope this helps educational wise, because the same concepts that I'm going to teach you right now today might fly by your head, but in the future, when you're thinking about buying a house and doing Airbnb out of it, you can come back to this video and save this video, because this video is going to be very, very crucial for you to understand how to underwrite properties the correct way. Okay. So last year in 2024, I went ahead and purchased this house right here, which was on my house in Dallas. Okay. Now I'm going to block off the address, obviously, because it's a house that I currently own. But this is a 6-bedroom duplex. Okay. Now what a duplex is pretty much where both sides are kind of replicated on the same, right? So there's one side is a 3-bedroom, 3-bath. The other side is a 3-bedroom, 3-bath. And they were both listed for, I think, close to $400,000 was the listing price. And I managed to get it down and negotiate to do a package deal where I would buy both sides together at a very, very big discount. As you can see here, we can go into the history of the property. I'm going to go on Zillow because it's better to tell on Zillow. But this is the house right here. As you can tell, if we scroll down to the very bottom, the property was originally listed for $870,000. This was in June of 2024. And obviously it sat on the market for a while, but then I negotiated it and I got it down. And it says there was a pending sale for $738,000, but we actually bought it 22 days later after that pending sale and got it down to $690,000. So that is the price that we actually purchased the asset for. The property looked very, very nice. It was a brand new construction. And as you can tell from the pictures, it's got all the bells and whistles. It's got the fireplace. It's got the 12 to 13 inch cabinets. It's got everything. So, and this is how it was furnished. Obviously these furnitures are just staging furnitures. They didn't come with the house, but it was a very, very nice house. Okay. Now, this is a property that you can find essentially anywhere, right? You can hire a realtor and a realtor can go out and find these types of properties for you. So it's not that difficult to actually find something like this. You literally hire a realtor, you tell them, hey, here's my price range, here's what I can afford, here's how much I want to put down, and they will go out and find houses for you. Now, when I found this house and my realtor gave it to me, the first thing that I did was I actually put the address into this website called airdna.co. It's a free website. It pretty much gives you the earning potential of the house and how much you can expect to generate in revenue. Now, it was interesting to me because when it was listed as 2 separate properties. It was listed as 2 separate duplexes, okay? Each side was a 3-bedroom. So I just put in a 3-bedroom, 3-bath at 6 guests just to see how much this one side on the left would be able to generate me in revenue. Okay. And when I searched that, I was quite disappointed. I saw that the property was only going to make me $39,000 in projected revenue. So I started to mess around with it, right? I started to toy with the idea. I was like, well, what if I bought both sides and I combined them both into a larger single family house where I can combine them both into one listing, where I can turn it into a 6-bedroom listing. And that is exactly what I did. Is I messed around with those numbers and I put in a one larger property at a 6-bedroom, 6-bath. This is something that we could occupy far more guests with. And this $40,000 projected revenue number, to my surprise, literally shot up and more than 3x'd. Okay, so now from making $40,000 on one side, technically by combining them, I would be generating close to $70,000 on each side. Just because the bigger the house, the more you can charge and the more you can occupy. So now I realized, I was like, well, if I combine both together and I listed it as one listing and I disclosed it in the listing description and simply told the guests on Airbnb that I was going to essentially combine them into one large property, this now, instead of making $34,000 or $39,000 on each side, will do $135,000 in revenue combined. Okay, and for you guys who are math nerds, okay, that's $135,000 every single year is roughly around $11,250 per month in revenue. Okay, now that's before all of our expenses and everything. Okay, full disclosure, this is the full property right here that we have listed on Airbnb. So I'll go over all the numbers later. Don't mind all the suspensions and stuff. It's a glitch on Airbnb that we currently have. Literally says all of our properties are suspended right now, which is if you're going through this glitch right now, it's July 9th. And it's a fucking shit show that we have to deal with right now because a lot of our properties are shadow banned. But as you can tell from this house right here, we do have it listed on Airbnb, and it looks far more different than the actual pictures on Zillow. So this is the actual full property we have. And this is how we furnished it, and this is how it looks on the inside of the actual house. As you can tell, we did top-notch finishes, top-notch furnishing, and it looks absolutely beautiful. That is my car right there. We photographed that. Had to throw that in there to add an extra bit of luxury. But you get the point. So we furnished this house. We combined it into one large single-family house. And this property now does us close to that $11,000 in revenue. Not quite exactly, but last month, for example, if we do go ahead and check, in June, we did $3,100 from one booking, okay, which was 11 nights. We did, the second booking was for $1,200. It was roughly around $1,250. The booking after that was $2,000. And we had a Verbo booking from the 15th. As you can see, from the 15th to the 23rd, the dates were crossed out. We had a Verbo booking for around $2,500 there. And then the reservation that we had was for $1,277. So in June alone, we did $10,164 in revenue. I believe May was a little bit lower, but this is simply because we just listed the house and it took us a while to furnish it. So it took us a while to actually set everything up, and we're expected to do more and more in revenue every single month. As the property gets more reviews, more bookings, it starts to warm up in the algorithm. That's usually how it works on Airbnb. But let's run over the numbers real quick so I can explain to you exactly the breakdown on the financial side and how this ended up being a really, really good investment for us. Okay, so if we come here to the left-hand side of the screen, you can see I have my Excel sheet that I've made when I got invested, started investing a while ago. This pretty much breaks down exactly how much revenue you can expect to generate, your expenses, your NOI, your cash on cash, your cap rate, all these crazy terms. It breaks it down for you, right? So the purchase price on the property, as I mentioned, we bought for $690,000. Okay. Closing costs on that property, which essentially means like paying commissions, fees, title fees, taxes, all that stuff at the closing table when I was signing off, was around $20,000. Okay. This is a house we put down $172,000 for. Okay. So my all-in out-of-pocket cash, I came out close to $200,000 that I had to put down via wire transfer at day of closing. Now that brings our all-in total to $710,000. It's pretty much just the 690 plus the 20, but out of pocket, I was $192,000. Okay. Now this property was projected to generate close to, I would say, in the beginning, $12,000 in revenue. All right. Which is phenomenal. Okay. Now let's break down the monthly numbers on how much I would have to spend on a monthly basis to manage this house. The taxes on this house are $15,493. Okay, you have to pay taxes on a property. That's how it is. Taxes in Dallas are very, very expensive. So that's around $1,300 per month. Insurance is going to be around $2,340, which is going to be around $200 per month. Water and sewer, electric and gas, all my utilities right there are going to be around $6,000, which equates to around $500 per month. I don't have to pay anything in management costs because I'm self-managing this house myself. The internet is going to be $50 per month, which is around $600 per year. And the cleaning cost, which is probably going to be the majority of my expenses, is going to be a whopping $1,050 per month. Okay. So my all-in and expenses every single month is going to be around $3,086. Now, I also have to add on top of that what my mortgage is going to be. So I put down roughly around 20% on this property. And I got a bank statement loan of around 30 years, and my interest rate on this loan was 6.9%. So I actually borrowed $513,000 on a mortgage. Okay. So my service debt ratio on how much I own based on just principal and interest is going to be $3,368 or $40K a year. So my monthly expenses all in are going to be close to $6,500, which equates to around $77,000 per year. Okay, so this is how much I have to pay. Now, the revenue on this property, as you can tell from AirDNA, going back to here, is around $134,000. Okay, $134,000 divided by 12 is $11,250. So this is how much I was pretty much projected to generate from this house. Now, this gives us a cash on cash return of 29%, okay, which on an investment property that you own is phenomenal. Usually my cash on cash returns on my Airbnb arbitrages that I don't own and I sublease, okay, on those houses are anywhere from 200 to 400%, which is outstanding. However, I don't own those assets. I just sublease them from the landlord. But this specific house that I purchased with my own money, having a cash on cash return of 29% is still phenomenal. And it's more than triple what the stock market yields on a day-to-day basis. Okay. So that's what cash on cash return is. It's pretty much like the amount of cash you're putting up divided by how much you're making on a yearly basis. And that gives you the percentage of how much that you can expect to generate back on your money. And 30%, close to 30% is phenomenal. Anything over 8 or 9% is beating the stock market. So that number right there meant that I was getting a really, really good deal. The cap rate usually doesn't matter on these types of single family houses. Cap rates are more important with apartment complexes and bigger buildings, but a cap rate of 13.8% is also phenomenal. Now, this property here that does 30% on cash return, last month this property generated $10,163, which brought our cash on cash return to 22% and our cap rate at 12%, okay? So now you might be thinking to yourself, well, Reed, why did you buy this house if your cash on cash return is only 22% and you can be making 200 to 400% on an arbitrage? Well, this is not only an asset that gives me cash flow, but it also gives me equity and appreciation. So how real estate works, I'm sure you know, is like the stock market. Over time, the value of the asset will go up and you'll have more equity and appreciation in the asset over time. So that essentially makes sure that my portfolio is consistently growing. Now, this also gives me tax benefits as well. I can now, because I own the asset, do something called a cost segregation study, which is maximizing the depreciation of the asset and reducing that from my taxable income. What does that mean? Well, technically, even if the property does appreciate in value every single year, the actual physical tangible asset doesn't. According to the IRS, the property does not appreciate and the property goes down in value every single year because of the wear and tear. So that is something that you can use to your advantage, is by doing cost segregation studies on these assets, which you literally just hire a company to do it. It's a couple grand and you can reduce your taxable income significantly. Now, obviously, this is not something that I was able to do for the first 3 to 4 years of my real estate career. I got started just managing houses and doing property management, and eventually got to the point where I was able to sign leases and do arbitrage. I didn't get started buying houses until I was at least at a portfolio of 30 arbitrages, okay? At that point, I was able to save up enough money from my Airbnbs and from all the cash flow I was generating to then start buying houses, which is now what we did. And this is just one of the houses that I own. I also own a $500,000 condo in Washington, D.C., and I own and purchased a property in Philadelphia in 2023, which I fixed up and I turned into an Airbnb as well. So I hope this helps for anyone who's trying to buy a house or wants to know how to run numbers. This is pretty much like literally what I'm doing now to this day. And if you guys are interested and you want to follow along and you want help or assistance on getting your next Airbnb property, I'm going to put a link in the description below. You can use that link to book a one-on-one call with me. I do offer mentorship and I do offer coaching for a select amount of few individuals. And if you guys are in arbitrage and if you guys are doing arbitrage currently, this is the same process that I replicate inside of my arbitrage business as well. So if you're interested, click on that link. We'll jump on a free consultation call. We'll see if you're a good fit. And yeah, I hope this helps. On to the next video. I'll see you guys in the next video.